Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Alejandro Perez, the CGI Nerd, and in this video I'm going to be going over kind of my first pre-production stage of developing a game. I am actually going to be teaching a course on interactive storytelling at RIT, and I am going to be using Unreal Engine to develop that game. So I want to kind of go through the process of creating a game focusing on elements of interactive storytelling. And when I come up with ideas, I kind of, for a game, when I've worked on them before, I want to really focus on my strengths, avoid as many of the weaknesses that I have, and then also set specific production restrictions when I am working on a project, just because of certain constraints that I might have at that particular time that I can or cannot focus on something in particular. So, the first thing I want to do is start listing off some of my strengths. So let's make that bold. Strengths. And then let's make this an enumerated list. There we go. So, most of my professional background is kind of like technical skills. So, I am really confident and able to do these kind of things for my strengths. So, I have technical skills that will include things like dynamics, simulations, and procedural workflows. Also some scripting, I guess. Okay, so those are technical skills that I feel confident in with what I'm doing. Modeling, I can model okay. So I'm going to say that kind of I'm good at simple to intermediate level detail models. So 3D models. 3D simple and intermediate level modeling. So I feel confident with that. Texturing, I can do it, but it's not a strong suit, so I'm going to say that texturing is not a strength, but I really do like shading a lot, so I'm going to add shading. And I like lighting, and I'm pretty good at it. Let's fix that. There we go. Then, as far as creating games, I've worked professionally on a few games, but I would say that it's more on the cinematic end of the game production, so it's still like more animation, and you don't really have to focus on a lot of the mechanics and stuff like that. So, let's just say maybe animation as a strength. And I'm going to leave that for right now, and I have all this bolded, and I do not want that bolded. Let's make that there, so that way the title is bold. And let's say weaknesses. And I will bold that. Start listing it out. Let's not make it bold. There we go. So, high detailed modeling. I've never been super great at environment modeling, so modeling. I'll add that. I've mostly like focused on specific props and characters and things like that. So there's that. It's more of like the layout of the environment stuff. So let's do environment modeling layout. Because the individual models themselves, I don't think I would have much issue with. It's just more the layout. But that's something to consider as a weakness. Texturing. And let's see. I am right now going to be using Houdini as my main 3D package along with Unreal Engine 4 for the game development process. So I am very confident in rigging inside of Maya, and I've done that a lot professionally, but with Houdini, I've done very little bit of it. I know that a lot of the skills will cross over, but I wouldn't consider that as strength right now. It would take some time to develop. So I'm going to say rigging in Houdini. As far as scripting, I'm going to be using blueprints in Unreal Engine. It is something that I am learning now. I did use Unreal Engine years and years ago before they had blueprints. So now it's just kind of relearning the coding experience and adjusting to blueprints. I have done some research and experimentation in blueprints recently, and it's actually pretty intuitive. So I'm going to add it as a weakness just because it's going to take some research to do some of the stuff that I'm looking for. But overall, I should be okay, but I'm still going to list it as a weakness. Okay. So I got 5 there. I could list more and spend more time on it, but I just want to give you guys a general idea of kind of my workflow before I even start production and start thinking about the stuff that I'm going to be building. So the next category that I want to do is any production restrictions. Let's bold that. Production restrictions. So with the production restrictions, I am going to be using Houdini and Unreal Engine 4. Okay, so that's going to be one big one. I want to do everything as much as I can between these two pieces of software. So I'm going to be using Houdini to model, animate, and set up any assets that I need. I can probably do quite a bit of procedural assets, which is pretty awesome. And then in Unreal Engine 4, I'll be implementing all of the game design. With this project being lined up with the interactive storytelling, so I should have a focus on interactive storytelling, whatever I decide to create. Then that's a good one. I have 15 weeks or less to complete. There we go. So I have to finish everything that I'm producing right now and have a solid working prototype that is visually appealing and functional within 15 weeks. So that is going to be what, for 3.5 months around there, to be able to complete this whole project. So I have to really focus on efficient workflows to be able to achieve that. Should be definitely doable, but that is something that I want and need to focus on. And then along with that, let's see, what else do we want to limit? I'm going to say with the modeling, I'm going to do focus on stylized models. That will allow me to get a interesting design without really needing to spend a crazy amount of time modeling a lot of details. So, I mean, you could spend a lot of time doing a stylized model, but I want to really focus on having a interesting design for the stylized models, but not really spending hours upon hours modeling everything, because I have a pretty tight timeline for everything that I want to do here. And if I spend too much time modeling, it's going to make me go over. So that is going to definitely be a production restriction that I am choosing. And let's see if we can come up with one more, just so that we have 5 for each. But like I said, I can come up with 10, 20 if I spent some time really thinking about these, but I am just kind of giving a breakdown of just my thought process here. So I think my next restriction is going to be on very simple characters. So both for the NPCs, non-player characters, and also the main player character, I do want it to be visual, so I want to see the characters that we're playing. So it's either going to be a third person, or it's going to be a side scroller or something like that. I do want to see the character, but it should be a very simple character that I'm going to be working with that will, one, help me with the time it takes to model shade and texture, anything that I need, and also it will save me a ton of time in the rigging process. So if I had a full humanoid figure, I have 4 limbs with 20 different fingers and toes, and then there might be facial features and all of that. Like, if I was focusing on this full time, I could maybe finish it for a good rig in a week or two, but I have a lot of other responsibilities, and I want to make sure that I can finish all of this. Like I said, we only have 15 weeks to get a nice looking prototype done, and it's not working full time. It's probably going to be working less than 5 hours a week on this. So I guess 5 times 15 would be 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 hours total. So that's almost like 2 weeks worth of work if I was working full time on this. So it's not a lot of time to come up with something that I am hoping to be able to finish within that amount of time. Okay. And then I guess since this is focused on interactive storytelling, there are different elements that I do want to focus on, because most people, when they think of storytelling, they first, let's fix that, they first think of narrative. And narrative is amazing, but it doesn't include all the different aspects that interactive storytelling may include, depending on the game that you're designing. So other elements that I want to make sure that I include along with the narrative is that we have character development, or for the character. And what I mean about character development is the design, the look, and the history of that character, making them an appealing character that people can relate to. And just by looking and interacting with the character, they can tell a lot about that character. So there's a lot of storytelling elements just with the design of how it looks, how the character moves, and the gameplay type stuff that we're doing with that character. So all of that can tell a lot of story without saying a single word or pushing this story forward narratively. We can do that through character development, world building. So with world building, that's the environments. Every element in the environment can tell a story. Like you can do a generic rock, but you can have like 10 different rocks that can insinuate a different type of story. So if I have like jaggedy type rocks that are in a cave or something like that, that could be something that I can do to show that something is scary or eerie or that's bad going to happen. So I do want to focus on designing the world, the props, anything in the scenes that are interactive with and not interactive with, to make sure that each one of those elements do tell a story. Then finally, mechanics and gameplay. So with the mechanics and gameplay, you can really tell a lot of the story. So you can make the pace go faster, you can make the pace go slower, you can make a character feel trapped, you can make a character feel like they're able to explore, and there's a lot of different things that with the game mechanics and gameplay that you decide to go with are going to actually really enhance the player's experience through a storytelling perspective. So we don't just want to choose a first-person experience just because we want to do a first-person game. We should choose the correct experience and the correct mechanics to enhance the story, at least with the game that I'm developing right now for this class, because this focus is on storytelling and being able to make sure that we're using interactive elements to be able to tell a story through a, in my case, a video game. All right, that is my pre-production process, and if you guys have any ideas, list them down in the comment section and let me know what you think of maybe ideas for a game using the restrictions that I have, or if you have any games that you're looking on working on and that you want to see any materials developed that will focus and help you with that aspect, just list it down in the comments, and I will get to them, and we can hopefully get this project going and get some cool projects out for everybody. All right. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.